Hey, wow, Ed. What an opening.
Oh, yeah. What the heck's going on here?
Season 3, episode 3. I think are we a half hour late or maybe like 45 minutes?
I don't know. I turned my phone off. I can't tell what time it is.
Well, folks, to say we've had a couple challenges, but hey, we've got E. He's there. I did see a little sweat breaking on. I thought he was going to punch. The laptop just the one time. Well, he's been on the phone. Well, you know how it is when you're on the phone with Spectrum or cable.
I've been on the phone with Frontier.
You're still on the phone with Frontier. So we have connectivity. I don't know. You may not have seen our fancy award-winning opener. You may not see some of the bells and the whistles. Like we had a few photos that we typically insert to help it be a little bit more entertaining. But folks, welcome to Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. Thank God it's a podcast, Ed, right?
Which one is it?
I think it's the third of season 3.
3-3.
At some point, we should do all the math from the first, second, and third shows, and we'll get just a total. So we'll say like episode 34, 35.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. Hey, I want to thank all of our sponsors who are so cool. Talking about, imagine having technical difficulties on like a real radio program or a television show. Sponsors be all pissed off and canceling.
Heck yeah.
They don't do any of that stuff here, folks. And we love them all for that reason. I turned Pioneer into the Ioneer company. So Pioneer Car Audio, we want to push the sales of our big
T-shirts.
Apparel line. Thank you for your ongoing support. We do have, Ed, you saw the Pioneer giveaway bike kind of in its raw form, the Ruttman.
Yep.
Thank you, Pioneer, for all you do. And we'll talk a little bit more about what you continue to do for us as we announce the grand prize giveaway for the upcoming Joe's Minibike Reunion, which is held here in beautiful La Crescenta in October. I've got to go down there and secure the date, Ed.
You better do it quick.
Well, it's usually the third Saturday of October. And I'll give you all the details as soon as I'm able to. Once again, we'd like to thank our sponsors from CRC. Your favorite, Ed?
Knock her loose.
Knock her loose. You say that even without a gallbladder. Pretty good.
Yeah.
Welcome, Ed, without your gallbladder.
I know. What the heck?
We'll get a little bit more into that. I want to hear more.
One day I had it. Next day I didn't.
I heard you had a little Nurse Ratched experience, too. So for those of you who are listening in, thank you for your patience. Stick in there with us. Hopefully we're going to have a good time here. We're going to be giving away a camshaft from another one of our sponsors, Small Engine Cams. Tim went ahead and, we gave away the camshaft as well as the autographed banner that Corona Irving won last time. And I thought it was a one and done in terms of the banner.
So he's going to keep giving banners.
That's just how he is.
That's good.
Yeah. So
Thank you, Tim.
Tim Iskandarian. He autographed it right there in the center. And Evelette, I see you had a tough time on the autograph, but you're still in a little pain.
Yeah.
So go ahead. The sponsors know who they are. GoPowersports.com. Thank you for coming back in. Our friends at Go Kart USA. And everybody else who's been a part of the team of F&B Racing. Thanks, sponsors, for all your support. I got a whiff that you were going under the knife. You were very cool, calm, and collected. How did you realize you had a gallbladder problem? What happened? Just getting to sheer pain?
At work. All of a sudden, I got a pain, like right here. I thought it was gas or something, I was still working on some stuff, and an hour later, it started going down more. And then by the time it was time to get off work, I drove home, sat around, watched TV. Started getting worse. Then it took a turn and went this way. And then about 11 o'clock at night, I said, there's something wrong. I better go to the emergency.
Did it feel like there was an object going down, or it was just a pain?
Just a pain.
And it was growing the pain?
Yeah,
or
it was
moving?
pain, just pain. And then it was just bloop, like that. And then I said,
drove yourself?
No.
Who drove you? Sharon?
Yeah, no, her son.
Great. What's his name?
David.
Thank you, David.
And he drove me there. And
so what did you do? You had to call him up and tell him to come and pick you up and wait for him to pick you up, and then drive. What's that? 20, 30 minutes by the time you called him?
I waited about 20 minutes.
Get right in there, Eddie.
Yeah, I waited about 20 minutes. And
did it feel like forever?
Yeah. And then we took care of the dog and locked the fence up. He drove me there. And one thing I hate is when you don't feel good and you go to Olive View, where I go, the guy's got to search you, you know. You got to freaking pick all the crap out of your freaking pants, put it on in a tray, do this, do that.
That's how it is when you take an airplane.
I got steel-toe boots on. I make the sound thing go off anyway.
Sure.
Then they just check me anyway, and then I got to take all this shit and put it back in my pockets, and it's like, dude, I don't fucking feel good.
Yeah. They're checking you in like they've got to check you out for weapons, Ed?
Yeah.
Yeah, you know.
Should have just called the ambulance. That way they wouldn't have done it, you know. But everything's okay.
All
I
right.
waited. Then they did a chest x-ray. Then they did a CT scan.
What did they say when they saw your chest x-ray?
They didn't say nothing.
We were joking about it earlier, but you know, let's face it. At this point, you're a smoker.
Yeah,
you know,
well,
it's
everyone,
like
the whole place over there knows that I've smoked for almost 50 years.
So they weren't busting your balls when they looked into your lungs. They just got right to the gallbladder.
They didn't say nothing about that. Then they did a CT scan, and then they did ultrasound. And I waited and I waited and I waited.
Wow, they thought you were pregnant?
The fucking doctor comes in and goes, well, we found the problem. You got a big stone in your gallbladder. And I go, well, how come it didn't give me problems before? Well, it probably moved a little bit, and that's what it'll give you problems. So your gallbladder has to come out. And I'm like, it's like 6 o'clock in the morning now. Oh, okay. Now, it's going to be taken out the next day, which was Friday.
Sure, they do a little testing, I would imagine. And
don't eat anything you can't eat. In the meantime, I hadn't eaten nothing that day. So it was 2 days I couldn't eat. 2 days I couldn't eat. Oh, I was hungry.
Sure, it's almost as if they want you to have nothing in your system before they go in there, right?
Yeah, so then after the operation, that was another disaster. Couldn't get a ride home. So I finally got a ride home, but took a couple hours. And then after the operation, I was like tired all the time. Couldn't get with it. Just couldn't get no energy.
Yeah, what you said, you looked into that a little bit, and it seems to be one of the symptoms
Yeah,
of...
it's one of the symptoms when you get your gallbladder out. You can't get any energy. They say your body has to fill back up with whatever is lost. And so I'm just waiting.
You look okay.
Today I feel pretty
good. The shirt's
was
pretty damn nice. I think the shirt threw me off there, too. That's when you're kind of you're showing the Laker colors, Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
Got the Laker purple. E, how are we doing? I think Linda was like waving the white flag.
It's freezing, so I got to figure out what's wrong with the internet.
So really, there's nothing going on now, right? We're still recording. Okay, good. Well, I realize that we're able to, no matter what the situation is for those poor bastards that are trying to watch now on Facebook Live. And we've had this issue before. We apologize, but part of the beauty is we tape, we edit it. He works his magic wand, and we rebroadcast this, or actually we re-air it. So we'll work towards that. Linda, keep me, well, she can't hear me now anyways, but we'll keep focused on this and hope for the best. So you went through the normal shit, checking into pretty much a B or C hospital where you're just another one of these guys, but you're out. You look good.
Yeah, they let me out the next day.
Good.
Like I said, it was hard to get a ride home because I didn't drive there myself. The kid who gave me a ride, he was working, and my girlfriend, she was sick. She ended up picking me up, but it took like 3 or 4 hours for her to get ready. And
she phoned when you were going through that. I spoke to her a couple times. You know, so many people were asking about you.
Really?
Oh, yeah. You had a big group. I had posted something, and then I think you had as well. And it was very nice because everybody was genuinely interested and hoping for the best. And it turns out, so you did the not so evasive. You did the four little, yeah.
Laparoscopic, I think they call it. Yeah.
So you go back to the doctors
when?
when?
Me, though. They said if we can't do it that way, we're just going to have to make a big cut.
How'd that make you feel? Pretty good?
Oh, yeah, as they're giving me the anesthesia, I'm like, well, I wonder how it's going to be. Yeah, I'm out.
Well, look, I hope you do well on the mend. You missed the AV ride.
Yeah, I know. I was like, oh, what the heck?
It was great.
That's the second one I missed.
Yeah,
And
but there's going to be...
I kept saying, I want to go on the next one. I want to go on the next one. Well, that didn't happen.
No, you will. You'll go to the next one. In fact, everybody who's not been on the AV ride, there will be others. It's not something that I really arrange, which is kind of nice. I mean, as I said before, it's nice to not have to set a date and ask people to go and try to make things happen. Jake Moe does a good job with that. Midjay, Alfredo, the guys who are local up there, they're the heartbeat of that event. And we met and I stopped counting around 30 bikes that were just lined up. You know, we do that. D Racer comes in. Shout out to D. Thanks for helping me with I tried to, you know me, I have no technical skills, so I tried to mount the GoPro on the Temecula Bob bike. And I had it set up okay, but it was rattling. You know, so those of you who had a chance to see the videos that I posted on the Joe's Minibike Reunion Facebook page, you get a little bit of a sense of just how cool the ride was, despite the audio. And Ed, I don't think you can really truly say that you're an enthusiast unless you're riding a bike. And we tend to work on them a lot and bring them around and talk about them. And, you know, they're all parked. But it is not until you deal with all the shit that goes with it, because they're all temperamental, right? And they all run great or don't run. And it's great because whoever had a problem, everybody's there. My brakes locked up for a second. We got a little power lube and got it rolling, and we got it back to the base camp, and it was the calipers, the pistons side, the calipers were stuck.
How do you use knocker loose?
Well, we would have used anything. I took the oil out of the crankcase, the dipstick, and, you know, I'm just trying to take out a few drips. The clutch was so hot, it was useless. But, you know, you're in the middle of the desert. Yeah, you got the vultures circling. I was the only person waiting for Jake to come back, and he came back, and we realized that, hey, let's just get a little CRC power lube on it, push it, get it going. And once we fired it up, we rode maybe a quarter of a mile. We got to the home base, and he adjusted it, a little 8mm adjustment on the pressure line, the fluid, and great. We rode. We had a good group that joined us out there. Once again, Jake and all the guys who came out. I hope that they do it again. I have not done a lot in terms of promoting it because it was kind of a small group by design. Because when you have so many, if you had a huge group, things happen. Smaller group, 30, 35 people is just about right.
That's pretty big.
Oh, it is. And if you'd like to see the photos, again, they're on the Facebook page. And many of the other folks that are a part of the mini bike scene that follow Joe's Minibike Reunion, checking out some of their stuff, particularly D Racer's videos, he always does a good job. Well, on the show today, we talked a little bit about Ed being back from his gallbladder surgery. You look okay. Hopefully,
I gotta go to the doctor tomorrow, and she'll tell me what's up.
Well, you know what she's going to tell you.
Yeah,
You
quit smoking. That's what she tells me every time I get here.
Well, you know what you should do? You should bring a cigarette and snap it and say, I am. And thank her and leave, and then you can go out and have a cigarette. Tonight, on the Star Chair, Home Alone. He is, I think he was at Dodger Stadium. No? We don't know. We may have some issues, but I wouldn't be surprised because tonight's one of those nights. He was struggling to get some transportation. I think they had some problems there around Dodger Stadium. We may not see Home Alone, Ed, so it's down to me and you. We're going to do our best to see if we can get Trent to join us from Home Alone's race team. And Trent's right there in the trenches with those guys, and he'll hopefully join us in and fill us in with the newest. There's so much more going on here than I know it. Anyways, Home Alone may not make it, folks. So we had some technical problems. We had some problems with the guests. We're just gonna do it on our own, Ed, and shit. That's how we started, right?
That's it. Yeah.
So, hey, we've got a great show planned for those of you who we're gonna participate. What we're gonna do is because of the technical difficulties, just send your questions to us. Send your questions to us via the Facebook page. anytime after the show airs between, let's say, the next 24 hours, and then we'll pick the comments that were best, and we'll still give away that small engine cam, and we're still giving away the high performance sprocket. I think it's designed more for the Baja bikes or maybe the Doodle Bugs from the folks over at GoPowersports.com. So we'll still have that opportunity, despite the fact that we really aren't able to deliver this message live. And I was talking about the ride and how much I enjoyed it. I literally had this smile on my face since I got back.
Once you get out there and you know, well, I don't think I'll get hassled by the cops and just go ride and have fun. It's a blast.
And really all you wanted to do was be with your buddies, right?
Yeah.
And then ride the shit out of the bike, and then have a chance maybe to learn a little something, right? Either by you helping somebody on their bike or they helping you with your bike. There's a lot of that, and I loved that. It was really, really cool, and I could see how just a day of it could really turn into a weekend. So we talked about this before, and how we may want to do an event where folks can just show up and ride and maybe camp out, and then maybe like a long weekend. I think there may be some potential about that. And once you go out there, which hopefully you'll be on your bike soon and out there checking it out, you'll be able to see for yourself.
Yeah.
But it's amazing. The ride's easy. You know, for those of us who live in SoCal, everything's an hour. And, you know, typically, ask Home Alone. You know, sometimes it's more than an hour, right? We rode up there. I got there about 45 minutes. It's right off of the 14 freeway. It's right along that beautiful aqueduct.
Oh, okay.
It was really cool. I'm looking forward to that. Upcoming, and unfortunately I can't make it because I'm going to a trade show up in Northern California, is the GT Hobbies Picnic.
Oh, yeah, right. I heard about that.
I think it's the
too.
27th or the 28th of the month. Let's hold on for a second here, Ed. What's going on, brother?
They broke down on the freeway. I'm about to go rescue them.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Any parts on me say, reschedule, we're going to do that.
Tell them sorry. All right, great. Unfortunately, folks, we're not going to have Trent on because he is going to go try to. They broke down. And I feel bad, too, because they're coming up for our show, right? So somewhere on the 5 freeway, along with our technical difficulties with Facebook, our guest's broken down. You're recovering. Actually, despite the gallbladder, you're doing better than many others. Our technical team and our guest. You're actually doing better. You know what? Again, the beauty of the podcast.
Yeah.
So what'd you think of the Pioneer giveaway bike when you rolled in? It's been a while since you've seen it.
Yep.
Was it orange before? Was it an orange at one time? I think when I owned it, it was orange.
It was orange.
Yeah. So, folks, this year at the upcoming reunion, you know, every year we have a giveaway. Last year, thanks to the folks over at Go Kart USA. In fact, you own one, right? American Flyer. Yeah, the 215 model.
Yep.
We gave that away. Chew-Wei won it. Chew-Wei builds those little Honda Z50s. He had that extended frame black Z50 Honda. He won that bike, and I talked to Al over at Go Karts USA, and I want to thank them again for coming back in and supporting the podcast. They're also wanting to do something with us, but it's like, you know, we kind of rotate bikes. Over the years, we've given one away, so we'll take a little bit of a pause on giving away a Go Kart USA platform, and we'll give away the Rutman.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, the Rutman's cool, Ed. It's got the mini apes. It's got the big wheel tire package. It's a full frame bike. You know what I mean? It had that 5 horsepower Tecumseh. So the plan was to turn that really into an audio wagon.
Yeah, that was the plan.
Well, you were a part of it. Yeah. And what we have here is an example of what we were talking about. Although a little dusty because it's been in Jake Moe's warehouse for a little while, this is the seat. This is the seat. It was custom made. And the reason why it's heavy is that on the side here is our subwoofer. So when you sit on this seat, in fact, you can see it here, Ed.
Yeah.
You literally will feel the bass. You feel the beat, my brother. The front of the bike will have a custom fairing, almost as if it was a full dresser. You know, when we were at the Dub event down in LA, was it a week ago?
Yeah, we were next to those bikes.
Well, I can't hear you.
Yeah.
They're full dressers, so we're gonna replicate that. We're gonna have Frank over at F&B, probably Brian and some of his other talented guys are going to put together an audio bike, which will have the custom front, the headlight, and the taillight will be, Ed, projected speakers. The saddlebags, the mini saddlebags, will be really more housings for the custom speakers for the Pioneer custom head unit that will go in the front. This is the seat. The bike, again, we were hoping that we could drop in some photos, but because of the issues that we're having with Facebook, we won't be able to do it. But I had posted a photo, again, previously on the Facebook page of the Ruttman in its raw stage. Now, I think that is a Spider. That model, I'm not exactly sure. I love the bike. As I sit here, I say, man, I wonder if I can give away another bike and keep this one for myself. It's tempting because coming back from the AV, it's that big tire bike that continues to be the ones that I'm going for. That's tempting, but we're going to give it away because we love our JMBR participants. And the way that works is that as long as you register your bike, you're automatically eligible. So if you register your bike, the odds are 1 in a few hundred when you consider how many bikes we have as registered participants at this point. Yeah. So, it's, when you think about it, pretty good odds. What else is worth winning that, like 1 in 300, right?
That's pretty good. Yeah,
I think so. And I know that your plate was full, but who knows? Maybe you'll be jumping on that as it gets towards the end as we finish it up. We've had 2 events pop up. We talked about the GTS show. I'm wondering if maybe you and I take our little show on the road and, we had talked about it, especially you're recovering okay. Maybe we go check out that Mile, that promotion that Eric from Stutz does in Detroit.
Oh, yeah.
I've heard a lot of good things about that. They've been supporters of the show as well. And I think we're on our way to getting them back as a sponsor of the podcast.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So we'll talk to Eric about that. For those of you guys in Detroit, it's about that time now, although there was snow on the ground. There was still snow on the ground in friggin' April.
My buddy at work, he just flew back to Michigan. Oh. Said last night he flew back.
Well, I knew it snowed in Utica, New York, my hometown, today. How was the weather here? It was like 80s, 90s.
Yeah, it was hot yesterday.
It's a shame it's still in the snow in April. So it's going to come to an end, I'm sure, guys. Get your bikes ready, man. Help your buddies get ready if yours is done, right? A lot of guys.
Yeah, I got a couple.
Yeah, well, so what's
ready?
You had to obviously take a pause because of your health. What's the first project you're close to finishing?
They're pretty much all done.
All right.
I just have a real old Bonanza that needs an engine.
What are you looking for?
I don't know yet. I don't know if I want to put a 2-stroke in it or leave it a 4-stroke.
Well, you've got the 2-stroke in your old Bonanza, right?
Yeah.
So you already got that checked off. Why don't you go some period correct? Maybe like a nice 5-horse, right?
I had a 3-horse in it.
They're just too small, aren't they, Ed? I mean,
yeah.
I got them in my Bonanza there. There's a 3.5, I think, that Briggs. They look great because it's like having a small block muscle car, like a Demon with a 340, like a 3.5 horsepower. And then there's always that optional 440 car, like the 5 horsepower, maybe in this case. There's something cool about the 3.5s. There's something different about the 440s. Same thing with those motors. I just think with our weight that the 5 horsepowers, if we're going to ride them, it's one thing to build one. It's another thing if we're going to have one that are going to be riders. I think you have to have a 5.
Yeah, it's a vintage one. It's got the old badge on it, the lightning bolt badge.
Oh, cool.
Like number 5,000 and something. Forgot exactly.
Out of how many quadzillions, right? Shit, even so at the time.
It's a pretty nice bike. It's no suspension in the front, no suspension in the rear.
Rigid, baby.
I have an early swing arm Bonanza with a lightning bolt badge that's all torn apart. And that needs a motor.
Well, that one you're not going to be riding this summer.
No.
All right. So, I'm trying to get an idea on the one that you think you're going to have ready, let's say the next time we go.
Either my 1400 with a Tecumseh 5-horse, or I have a MX, I put a Intex 6.5 in it.
There you go.
Those two are ready to go.
That's from the Briggs family?
The Intex?
Yeah.
It's like a real toned down animal.
Yeah. I've got to get an animal at some point just to plug and play. You know, that's the 8 horsepower. We got to find a big bike for that.
Yeah.
Edge. You know, I mean, I just keep looking at it. And I love looking at it.
It's a nice engine.
Yeah, and I bought a filter for it just to take that nasty one out. So we've
The only
got
one I was pretty close. Also, is the American Flyer 215. That's pretty close.
that's Bonanza like.
Yeah.
You know, I think that is about, you know, when you start to look at the bike, yeah, it definitely has Bonanza
I have
cues.
a trail horse with a brand new Hemi in it. Predator Hemi. I think I started it up to make sure it ran, and that's it. It has no miles on it. That's
The trail horse.
ready to go. It's suspension front and rear.
The reason why Trail Horse always puts a smile on my face, and I know that you're a big fan, and I see him out there. In fact, there's the one guy in AV who's got that bike on Craigslist for $1,000. He's never going to sell that friggin' thing. But the reason why that Trail Horse always puts a smile on my face is because that's the bike that fucking haunted me as a kid.
A trail
It was the
horse.
one. It was in the catalogs. Was it Montgomery Wards or J.C. Penney's that were selling those things?
I believe it was Montgomery Ward.
Okay, so you know what? You just remember that, right? Flicking through those friggin' pages, and you got to that pages where the mini bikes were there, and they had like a page or two, and they promoted the shit out of the trail horses, and those were usually the 5 horsepowers instead of like
Right.
109, they were 149, and you knew you were never touching one of those friggin' things, right? But it was so out of reach that you know you still, when you hear it, you want to grab for it. It's just one of those brands. I see them now, and they put a smile on my face, but I'm not at that point where like I've got to have one. You know, I'd seen Harold out there at Palmdale. He was tracking me down and said, "Hey Joe, did you see the photos of the Powell? You know, I've got some parts." I said, "I'll let Eva Led look at it." I've been seeing more Powells out there now. There's a guy that had one in Craigslist. It was his father's bike. It had a small 2.5 horsepower engine. It had some modifications. And then I saw one on being offered at $900 on eBay. And
I saw that one, yeah.
I bought that bike, as you know, from Minibike Paul, who incidentally, a belated happy
birthday.
Yeah. How old do you think Paul is now? He's not around. We can guess. I say he's
75?
Yeah. He's enjoying life, man. Happy birthday, Paul. Hadn't seen you in a little while. Hope you're doing well. My man Cliff Judd, say hi to you as well, brother. They're kind of all up there in the neck of the woods, aren't they?
Yeah. Cliff's pretty close to Paul.
Cliff was a recent winner, won a camshaft. And, you know, when I toss out these opportunities, you know, Cliff always has a nice comment. And he had a question he wanted to ask Home Alone. And unfortunately, we won't be able to do that. But he had that full-size Baja frame that he's been working on. And I've been looking for a fat bike to stick that thing in. And he actually did a lot of work to it. But then I thought about it. Because, yeah, he made it available to me at a good price. I asked him. He wasn't trying to sell it. I said, "Hey, would you think about selling it?" He said, "You know, for you, maybe." And he threw a very good price out. Then I started to think about it. It's like, as I look around, you know how many freaking things that I haven't quite yet fully assembled? All I would be doing is taking it from his to-do pile.
Into your to-do pile.
Right? So I didn't do it. But that's kind of what I'm going for. So I went back to Craigslist because I went back to oldminibikes.com, and I went back and looked at the guy from Florida who was selling 2 bikes, a Raptor-powered Baja in like a matte gray, which is really nice, and he had a red Friuli with a new Predator in it. Pretty well built, nice looking built bikes, priced pretty reasonable, $850, $650 OBO. And I reached back to the wrong guy. I reached back to a guy who lives in Ohio, Frantic Freddy, something like that.
Yeah, Fanny Freddy. Yeah.
Yeah, not sure that I know him. His name, the Frantic Freddy. I remember. See, I don't have like a lot of great memories from OMB because most of the posts were just kind of sour comments, a lot of sour pusses that for some reason I seem to be coming across. And I don't remember if he was one or not. So I sent him an email saying, "Still available?" And he types back, "Don't really know what you're talking about, Joe." So I went back and looked and followed the thread all the way down. And it wasn't his bikes. it was this other dude in Florida. So I sent him an email, and I'm willing to buy that Baja bike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and stick that in there after I ride the shit out of the Raptor motor, and that to me. So if you took your American Flyer, that's the 8-inch wheel kit, right?
I put 6s on it.
Oh Jesus Christ, Dad, you need the 8s for up there.
I had a set of Go Powers.
Okay, well there you go.
Put the Go Powers on it.
Oh, that's right. Yours didn't come with the
No wheels.
yes.
It was just
Got
a
it.
frame.
Got it. My bad then. Yeah, I thought for some reason you got the same kit that we gave away.
No, I just got the frame and the fork.
So take a picture of that. Did you stick the bolt through the 2-piece? Did you connect the frame, or you got the?
Yeah.
I got to see a
It's
photo.
roller.
Yeah, send the photo.
All right.
And we'll post that up there. So if I had my way, I would take that Baja and ride that up there. And if you were building a bike there, you already got the 6s on there, but I think it's an 8-inch wheel deal.
Yeah, but I already had the 6s.
Yeah.
And I had the sprocket and brake drum, everything for them. So
Hey, there is a guy, Big Block Mike 396-454 at gmail.com, who is looking for a set of wheels for a CR400 chopper Bonanza. I told him, get in line, right? And he didn't know too much.
Beans? He wants kidney beans?
Yeah, he wants kidney beans. He was a cool guy. He listened to the podcast. He wanted to come to the event. He's not very computer savvy, so he doesn't go online too much. And he called. Every once in a while I get a call on the number that's somewhere on our website. You know, at some point in the website you have to have a contact phone number. And then I think I made the mistake of putting it on a poster or two. So there's a number out there lurking, and it's my office number for my agency. So I'll call up and I'll answer Motor Media and get a pause usually, and someone will say, is this Joe's Minibike? It's like, yeah. Joe's Minibike Reunion. It's like, oh. So after we go through that awkwardness, the guy called up nice enough and had some, was asking me if he could buy wheels from me as if I was a shop. So it's like, dude, I'm not a parts store. Here's what I suggest. And I suggested he go to oldminibikes.com, which we always promote. If you're new to the sport or the hobby, it's like the first thing you do is go to oldminibikes.com, right?
Yeah.
For anything. I told him. And I don't want to join. My wife doesn't like me giving out the credit card. It's like, no. It's none of that
Private
shit.
party stuff.
Go in there, put in your friggin' email address and click yes where it says ask to agree. And I told him to go to Bikes for Sale, Complete Bikes for Sale. I told him to post under wanted.
Right.
And I said, check parts. And then I told him to go to Craigslist. I was telling him everything, type in mini bike, then type in mini space bike,
Mini bikes.
Don't just check your town, check Detroit, check anywhere that's within your state that may not have snow, so you can get a halfway decent bike, go out west, look at, so I'm spending time with him. I must have spent about a half hour with him. He had put in his Bonanza, he had like a 2.5 horsepower motor, and then he was thinking about putting in a Predator. And I said, you know what you have? I said, imagine you have like an old muscle car from the 60s, and right now you've got a 4-cylinder engine that you put out of a Vega. And then you're talking about wanting to put in an engine from a Honda. Yeah. It's like you need to go find yourself a 5 horsepower, or in your case, for the CR400, the reason why it's called the CR400, it's a 4 horsepower. Mm-hmm. Go find a 4 horsepower engine. And he said, you know what? Thank you. I didn't know that. The way that you framed that, I had like a little small motor in there. So you got a muscle. The whole description, I hope it worked. So I go through all this with him. I go cut and paste the links from oldminibikes.com. I actually found an ad that had run previously offering a set of these same wheels for sale. He was too late, but I cut and pasted that. I put together a paragraph. Shit, you know me. By the time I'm done, I'm offering to send him a free fucking t-shirt and decal. I go through all this stuff, spend a half hour on the phone, 20 minutes typing the email. The email comes back.
Oh.
It's the same email address he gave me. I don't have his phone number, so I can't call him. But like I went through all that, literally went through an hour of talking, helping, emailing, and then now I have no way to really get a hold of him. So he doesn't listen to computers, so he'll never hear that, but maybe that's just an example of kind of how this mini bike life works. So, even
Can't believe the price of those wheels, though.
Well, it was $160 and they were sold, so it doesn't mean a guy spent
I used to buy them
$160.
for $25 each.
You'd be able to fucking buy the bikes for $25 each. What are you talking about? Well, look, a couple things have been happening on our end. I finally had a chance to sit down with Emmanuel. He's been flying, and he went to Boston with his kid, did the MIT tour. I'm sure that was a cool thing. We'll find out a little bit more about that. He came back here. He went to Mammoth. He's on his way to San Diego. But somewhere in the middle of all this, the sewer pipe under his house broke.
Ugh.
Yeah. And
Time to move back in that front house.
he's so in the middle of all this traveling and all this shit he's doing, he's still dealing with the worst possible nightmare you can have at your house. And here I am going, well, shit, I got to squeeze a half hour of his time. I got to see if I can get it for, I'm trying to pester him because I think we're getting closer to doing the YouTube show. So I've got a guy, Trevor, who's a young guy that I met. He does some of the production work for the folks who handle a lot of the stuff for the SEMA show. They do the banquet. They do a lot of the videos. Lucid is the agency, and Trevor worked there. And so he comes to us with good references, and he's a young guy. I met with him, and we went back and forth. I have a proposal that he's helping me evaluate, and I think we're going to bring him in, and we're going to get E to help us. Him and I actually did speak, and we're going to put together our first episode.
Oh, really?
And it's going to be me in the garage and you.
Oh.
We're not going anywhere. We're not riding. We're gonna open up, and it's going to be our story. It's going to be why mini bikes? Who are we? What is it that we need to let these guys be aware of, and maybe give them a little bit of a hint of what some of these bikes look like and why they're so cool to us, and what they can hopefully be in store in terms of what the show is going to be about. It's going to be fun. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a lot of editing, I'm sure, but I think that's going to be a go. And I think we're hoping that we can capture the first show in May, and it will be a YouTube show. It'll be somewhere in the neighborhood of 9 to 10, 12 minutes. Shit, there's a time I was talking about 30 minutes and his eyes rolled around the back of his head. And then I watch a video for 3 minutes. Sometimes you want to kill yourself. So 9 is pushing it.
Yeah.
So depending on what we've got to say and just how much opportunity we have, and we've got a lot of opportunity to go out and ride and visit people. I think we're going to be good for like a good 9-minute show monthly, talking to some sponsors about helping us. And if we can get some help from some of our sponsors, then maybe we get to go a little bit on the road. And we will not only just go to Detroit or go to Winburn or go to see our friends out in Texas. We can go with a couple cameras in tow.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
And hopefully put together a fun show monthly. And who knows, maybe come and check out some of our followers or fans. I like to call them followers. I'm more fans of theirs than they should be of ours, because we're all into this, and maybe come and have their bike or have their town or have their race be a part of an upcoming show. We may change things around. We've been pretty used to branding things Joe's Minibike Reunion, albeit this may not be as appropriate of a name, because it's not just Joe's Minibike Reunion. So maybe you can help us with that, Ed. And for those of you who eventually will see this, if you have any ideas for the name of our YouTube show,
Let's just call it the Old Gray Ghost.
well, try this.
that was I was picking on Eric from OMB. That he's called the Old Gray Goat Garage.
Yeah, the Old Gray
Will be called
Ghost.
the Old Gray Ghost Garage.
Well,
Sorry, Eric.
hey, Eric is the guy who has the new podcast about mini bikes through OMB, right?
OMB, yeah.
What do you know about
Thursday
that?
nights.
Yeah, I see you're a fan.
It's what is it? 8 o'clock Eastern time. So what it makes it like 5 o'clock.
You sound like my grandmother.
Yeah.
Joe, let's see. What time? It's 5 o'clock here. Is it
3 hour
8 your
difference?
time?
All right, so it is 8 o'clock East Coast time on Thursday nights, and you get to check it out on Old Mini Bikes.
It's on
Facebook page?
Yeah, Facebook.
All right, well there you go. I hate to say that my feeling about OMB largely was based around the nonsense of the guys who are on there, at least on those boards often. When we met Hent, Drew, I like him. I still don't think he gets me. I don't know if he thinks we're in competition or there's any kind of back and forth. I met him and his lovely fiance. What's her name? Vicky. Reached out to him a time or two. We had a little back and forth, but kind of like crickets now. Wish him the best. I still use the site. I like it. I was telling you, I was going to buy a bike off of the classifieds. I'm telling people to go. I always tell them to go there. So who knows? They got problems in their water out there, maybe like Flint. Maybe they're all a little crazy out there. I don't know. But I know that they love you, Ed, like everybody else. And, this show is going to be a little bit about what I think is cool, but you too. You get to hopefully have some ideas about where we're going to go, who may be cool to have on the show. I think we have some of the same folks on our sites. We got to get out and see the Taco Bill collection.
Yeah, we got to see Taco Bill.
Right.
Maybe we can go take a trip out to Temecula Bob.
Yeah. If we did Temecula Bob, we could probably see Gerald.
Yeah, well, Gerald's on the way.
Okay. So I think you and I will have a lot of opportunities to put together some cool visits. We're going to have to acquire some bikes. So I think what we want to do is we're going to do a little picking. We're going to go out there.
One of those shows.
No, but look, we always look, right? Don't you look daily?
Yeah.
All right. So it's not like we're doing it for the show. All we do now is capture that. Maybe how we go about finding these bikes. Give it a little bit of an idea what a routine is. A lot of it these guys already know, but and then because we're SoCal, it's not like you're in friggin' Wisconsin where you get too many bikes pop up on the Craigslist every 3 months. I mean, we got new ones popping up every friggin' day.
Yeah.
So if we, and I'm willing to buy if it's worth buying, but if we're able, like that guy's got this guy down in Orange County, he wants $1,200 for that original gold Rupp.
Oh, I saw that.
All right. So he puts it out there as if he's got gold. Now, just because the fucking bike's gold doesn't mean it's made out of gold, right? I sent him, and I'm so happy. I sent him it was late at night. Probably had a puff or two. I go online and I sent the guy an email. I said, would you take $900 for the bike? I'll come down tomorrow. It was $500 more than I probably should have offered him, right? You don't return my call.
No.
So next morning I wake up and said, I think I called the guy to buy a bike. Did I buy a bike? And I went back and I noticed I sent the email, no response. And then it's like, well, fuck, I'm going to go ahead and send him another email. And I said, no, I didn't. And it had run its course wherever I saw it listed. And then it popped back up at that same deal, $1,200. So obviously he wasn't getting much play. Now, if you're offering a bike for $1,200 on Craigslist, like if you don't have 10, 20% that you plan on moving off of that price, you're nuts.
Right.
Right?
I always put high prices on it because I know they're going to talk me down.
It's the nature of the fucking Craigslist. It's so that bike's probably still out there. But my point being that we do have some halfway decent bikes that pop up. So us going out there and capturing that for some of the show. And then a lot of it too, Ed, is what we do leading up to either the podcast or the event. You throw in a couple builds, maybe following around this build for this Pioneer Car Audio giveaway bike for the JMBR and watching that bike go through some of its paces. Because there is going to be a little bit of a to-do to get this thing done. It's April now. The show's in October. You see that the bike, actually we won't be able to share a photo with you, but we will in the future. We've got parts everywhere. Seats, frames, boxes of parts, fairings. Okay, so I'm gonna essentially drop this stuff off hopefully within the next couple of weeks. And because it's a mini bike, really if Frank and his group can put together a car in a weekend, I'm not sweating it. Part of the stuff, Ed, that's going to take some time are those saddlebags. But that'll be good stuff. Right. And maybe we'd roll out there and check those guys out in an example. So look, keep an eye out for that. We're kind of excited about it, obviously. We're hoping that you will as well, you being the listeners and the followers of Joe's Minibike Reunion. And plus we'll have Evil Ed with us, right? So how can you not want to check that out? We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back with the second half of Season 3, Episode 3. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion. And we want to thank you for spending some time listening in, sending those comments again. Send them in through email, and we'll be giving away a camshaft and a custom autographed banner from Small Engine Cams. as well as, I believe they call it a high-performance sprocket. I don't know how it could be a high-performance sprocket as we think of that term, but it's probably lightweight and well-built. It's made available by the folks at GoPowersports.com. It's kind of set up and designed for a Baja or a Doodle Bug. They've got parts for all kinds of bikes. It's GoPowersports.com. Talk to those guys, mention Joe's Minibike Reunion, and they'll charge you more. We'll be right back after this quick timeout.
Is your car stereo a little outdated? Don't sell your car. Upgrade it. Get hands-free calling with Android Auto on the new Pioneer Next.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Joe's Minibike Reunion Podcast, Season 3, Episode 3. And I didn't do anything but laugh that whole friggin' break. You signing autographs again?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, tough life you had. They never want mine. Plus, they don't have to. I put my name on the front of the friggin' thing. Hey, let's give this away. You know what? Is that Jake Moe that just got up?
Yeah.
Did he? He just got up?
What, do you have his gallbladder out?
Is that a prerequisite now? Welcome, Jake. Thanks for joining us.
When you get home from work and go to sleep?
Hi, honey. What do you want to eat? Nothing. I had the gallbladder out today. I'm going to kind of take it easy. Just give me a... no, all joking aside. Are you feeling all right, though? You're not just toughing it out?
Today I feel pretty good.
Good, brother. On the energy thing, I think you have to make your own energy. And you probably haven't taken...
It's a weird feeling inside, like
you don't want to do anything?
yeah, just
All right.
like
I'll fix that up for you. I got a couple cuters from me or to Yuda. Hey, everybody, welcome back. Joe's Minibike Reunion. We're back for the second half of the show. Had a little bit of a rough and tumble. The first part of the opening, Home Alone, stranded, a bit like the Dodgers. Hey, watch that. Along the 5, next to Dodger Stadium. Hopefully he's okay. We'll be checking on Home Alone after the show. By that, we're going to call him. I mean, I don't know what I'm going to do if he says he's fucking still over there stuck. Like, I'm in pajamas. I don't think I'm going to go down there. I'll probably send the truck. AAA, been a member. They thank me for it every time for over 35 years. So hopefully Home Alone, if you're listening to this, you're doing okay. And whether it's Rick or whether it's Tran or if it's just Trent,
Bird,
all those guys that are over there helping out. Congratulations. Home Alone, despite the fact he wasn't able to make it, we'll get him back on the show. We had a couple questions that came in for Home Alone, which typically is how it works. Had a couple questions that folks wanted to find out had to do with you as well, Ed. But before we get to all that, congratulations to Home Alone nevertheless. Although he wasn't able to make it, he sat on top of Joey from Eastside Racing's mini bike. And although he played to a smaller crowd, he still took home, however you want to describe it, the championship. He was wearing our jacket.
good for him.
Yeah, it was, but I told him. In fact, I mentioned it to Trent as well. It's like, look, dude, it's like that's our, he's our Elvis. Ask anybody about drag racing mini bikes and say Home Alone, they know him. I got to have my man in leathers. So, I gave him the jacket to wear on his way over there, not to friggin' wear drag racing, to wear it to the after party, wear it to Dub Live. Shit, wear it to Joe's Minibike Reunion. But for that matter, I need him in leathers. And damn it, Jake, I need you in the helmet. I'm going to tell you, look in the camera. Mo, I want you in a helmet on these AV rides because you, my friend, are also, you're someone that people look up to in this industry, in this hobby. And you need to wear a helmet because we had young Julian joined us. Cool kid. I bet he was all of 12. all of a sudden, Jake and me were all hanging out. And although the majority of us who ride are all together, intermittently 2 or 3 bikes will come in or a couple bikes will pick up. Well, it was like we were cowboys on top of the hill. And we were all on full mount. And then we could see some dust. And here come a couple, not horses, but in this case, mini bikes. And they would slowly get closer and closer. And you figure out if they were friend or foe. And here comes 3 or 4 bikes. And part of that pack was this young dude, Julian, building a bike, a chopper, that he had a hand at putting together, and he was riding alongside, whether it was, I don't know if it was his brother or uncle or whoever, but he was riding with the guys. And he was so cool. I've got some photos of him. In fact, I'm not sure if you're able to now. Maybe you can drop in some of those photos. We've got some photos that one of them is Julian, who we met, who was a young gun. These are young guys, like Jake Moe's son, and some of the others that we've met at the show. In fact, we had about 3 years now of having over 4 or 5 young guns recognized at the show. So as we bring up these young guys, they look up to guys like Jake. They look up to guys like Home Alone. So if Home Alone's out there racing, literally racing, it's street racing, wear leather. You got the helmet thing going, obviously. You got boots. Wear the leather. And Jake, I'd even like you riding with a helmet just when you're out, a couple of the guys, let alone all 40 of us. So I've got helmets too. We gave one away. I gave one to Julian, who had his own helmet, but it was a big full-faced adult helmet, so we gave him one that was a little bit closer to his size. If there's other Julians out there, young folks who are out into the hobby that are new that need a helmet, check us out, joesminibikereunion.com. We got something for you. Ed, shout-outs. I want to give a shout-out to start out your shout-outs to Sharon. She was there to make sure she could do whatever she wanted. She called me up to keep me abreast on what was happening.
Well, that was nice.
We were having connectivity problems, but we circled back. She was nice. So she was there for you when it counted. So
Yeah, she got a lot of problems.
Well, yeah, I'm looking at one. You. Also, you need to fix the floor on the back porch.
Yeah, I know.
Some came out of the conference. All right, so enough about that.
Yeah.
Shout-outs. Talked about Jake Moe. Jake, thanks. All the usual suspects. Ian Cordova, Corona, Irving. My man Fredo, we talked about. The Green Hornet, Irving. Irving is Irving Paying, I believe, is his name. I met him on the first AV ride. Cool guy. A follower of Joe's Minibike Reunion, the Facebook page. He was out there in his green machine. I start calling him the Green Hornet. So he's now known as the Green Hornet. Jonah McCaslin, he showed up on his custom little Honda, and that was a hoot. He likes to ride, and we sat around a little bit more than he was used to. I told him, so it's kind of like the style. When you ride with the Grom guys, all they do is ride. They take a couple breaks. Everybody does what they got to do, and then they're out riding. This one was a little bit more kind of hanging and riding. That was kind of the hang. But so thanks for joining us
seen one of
anyways.
your friends the other day.
Who?
Remember the guy that when we were at the Christmas parade? And
Jack.
He had a sidecar bike, big heavyset kid.
I want to say yes. I wonder. So I'm not making a direct connection, but there's only a few of them. I could probably look back at some photos. You could point them out.
Yeah, he had a sidecar bike.
Okay.
He recognized me. He was sitting on a Grom, I think, in AutoZone parking lot. And he called, "Hey, Evil Ed."
That was him. That was Jonah.
Was it Jonah?
Jonah McCaslin.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. He has like a bigger guy with like a bottom goatee, half
Yeah,
a
I
goatee.
think so, yeah.
Yeah, it was him. I think he mentioned that he saw you now that I think of
okay.
it. So him and his brother Toby, and give a shout out to Toby. Again, I met him through the mini bike show. He showed up that first year, I believe it was Toby, not Jonah, with that green mini motorized mini semi flatbed. And I took my green Torpedo, which is now in the possession of Alana from, you know her through Roadkill. She's now doing her own stuff. She bought that green bike, and I put that atop that green machine, that mini semi that he brought out, and that made for some really cool photos. And they're brothers. Both of those guys, they work building studio props and a variety of other things. They're very, very talented. I've actually talked to him about doing a couple of things. Very cool guy. So shout out to those guys as well. All the guys that represented the AV out there as well. Mike was out there. He had your Evil Ed shirt on, and he had my little hat on. So thanks, Mike, for representing. AV Sal, Harold. We talked about Young Gun Julian with his badass chopper. D-Racer was out there. One of the guys that I really had a fun time hanging out with, because we're almost similar in age, and our bikes were kind of similar too, is a guy by the name of Dane Walton. Dane's an older cat, and he is funny. He's one of those guys like me where he just says what's on his mind. And most of the time, he ain't lying. Sometimes he says it funny, and sometimes you don't care. He's kind of like you. You know, he's a cool guy. And he built his bike, got it ready for the ride, and did a really nice job. Did a lot of the stuff himself. By that, not just assembling it, but putting together and preparing some parts. He had a nice little custom piece that housed his kill switch and some of his fuel lines. Really, really well done. Had a cool large tank. It looked like a torpedo. He had a nice custom clutch cover. It was raw. It was set up looking good. I think I've got some photos of it as well from the ride. So Dane came out, and I hung out with him. A big shout out to him as well. And Dane, you have not met Ed, and he's heard so much about you, and he was curious about, well, you know, I know of Evil Ed through the podcast and through the show, and Christ, I see people with T-shirts, but like, I really don't know the whole story behind the story of Evil Ed. And I said, well, Christ, that could be its own podcast. But essentially, my answer to that would be Evil Ed is just one of the OG mini bike guys that was really a part of the mini bike scene here in SoCal. You know, whether it was racing or riding or talking, you were talking trash and making great X-rated videos back when it wasn't, when social media wasn't cool. So
yeah, we had that illegal mini bike racing. We had the illegal mini bike racing, and I used to talk trash on that board all the time.
Is that, do you think, where you got, because typically the reputations come from maybe something that wasn't so...
I painted a lot of guys' bikes. I painted a Jack Spittler bike that won first place at Wimber. My friend Jerry owns that bike. And I think he sold it, though, to some other collector.
Did that paint job... That paint job didn't... Where did it go from Ed to Evil Ed? What do you think triggered...
That was a long time ago.
And we may have talked about that, Ed, but was there an incident, or was it just a series of maybe activities that made it pretty easy to call you that? I know that
I was pretty rough when I was younger.
You were a catcher, I saw that.
Yeah.
And I saw the recent photos of you in your Roadster with three...
Yeah, I was into cars heavy.
Now, was that the time where you were still kind of a little rough and tumble? Were you? Because you weren't a drinker, right?
No.
And you weren't still fighting back then, were you?
No.
All right, so it wasn't like an Evil Ed that some people may think you got that reputation from being a bad guy or going around knocking teeth out. But so was it from the painting skills, or
no?
So then
From
maybe
my ex-wife, she called me that one time.
That's
I
what it
got
was.
mad at her.
That's the Evil
I
Ed.
used to get mad at her all the time.
And then that name went to your inner circle of mini bike buddies, and then
To the car buddies, to the mini bikes,
got it.
motorcycles.
You probably mentioned to one of your friends that your wife called you that. So you're
Oh, yeah.
and that probably well,
She would say it from in front of them.
great. Well, I wonder what Linda says
We
when
used
I'm
to
not
fight
around.
all the time. That's why we're divorced.
Well, all right, enough of that. So, hey, we don't want to get into his divorce, right? That'll take up another half hour. Evil Ed, so, Dane, to answer your question, you get a little bit of a whiff, right? He's an OG mini bike guy. He's been doing it every way you can, riding them, racing them, building them, painting them, and each instance doing it really well. And that's Evil Ed.
Yeah,
So
we
if
used to have a fast bike out on Anna Street, too.
did you name that bike?
No.
Come on, what do they call it, though?
I guess the Evil Bonanza. I don't know. Home Alone rode it a couple times.
Did he?
Yeah.
When was that?
Long time ago. Like, freaking, I think it's like been 7 years already.
That's not a long time, 7 years. Long time's 20 years. 7 years, Jesus Christ.
Well,
Got socks that are fucking 7 years old.
you do?
Well, hell, I throw them out now because I make the big bucks. Ed, a couple other shout outs I want to recognize before we jump into this. We typically do like about 20, 25 minutes in the second half, but again, we got off to a little bit of a slow start. We asked those folks, we try not to hawk stuff. All we want you to do, though, and it does have, there's a method to the madness. If you go watch any of our previous episodes or whatever, just like to look back at an episode, like someone, Home Alone's not here now, but we had him on as a guest in the past. You can go to YouTube and just sift through some of our previous episodes. It's Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. It's on YouTube, and subscribe to it. You have to get to even a figure to me that I don't know if we'll ever get to. It's like 10,000 subscriptions. We're at 200, right? So I'll be dead by the time we get anywhere near that. You may be as well. But if we can get close to that, we can get a little bit of attention. They start to share some of the ad revenues, and we're going to use them to produce our show or try to help out with that. Do that. Go to the YouTube, check them out. Check out the one that we did on Home Alone, because if you wanted a fix for Home Alone, we don't have them live, but you can get them there. We still have some time for any questions you may have. E's going to check those as well. We've already had one in from Dane. We've got a couple other things to give away. We're going to be giving away the small engine cam as well as the autographed banner. It's autographed by Tim, myself, and Evil Ed. We've got the custom rear sprocket for the Baja or Coleman bike from GoPowerSports.com. So hunker down. Enjoy the rest of this show. We were talking about how much fun we had actually riding our bikes. And I implore you guys, again, those of you who may not be in weather, like our garage door is up right now. It's kind of cool out here. It's a beautiful night. We've had some great weather out here, so it's nice for us on the West Coast. If you're where it's still snowing, just get ready. Get ready, man. It's coming. Because anytime now you can get you can drop snow on you today, but if it's East Coast now, it's getting close to May. It could drop an 80-degree day on you, and you want to be ready. Go out there and fire up your bike. Have a good time. A big shout out to all of our friends in Detroit. Eric, my man Myron Bailey.
I think Myron Bailey's cousin is in the hospital.
Saw the photo.
Knocked out or something.
I was leading right up to that. Thank you, Ed. Wishing him, his nephew, the best. Myron as well. There's always
He's
something
cool.
going on, you
He
know?
called me twice on the phone.
To check up on you.
Check on
See what I mean?
Yeah.
See what I mean? You had literally. I mean, go back and look. Shit, I'm not just stroking you. It's like people wanted to know. It's like, fuck, relax. Just a gallbladder. He's going to be fine. Save all the good shits when he's really dying.
Yeah.
I also want to shout out to my good buddy Mikey. Him and his wife are celebrating an anniversary today. Congratulations on that as well. You're on the mend. We're loving that. E, we talked about your traveling. You've been out and about. A lot of the folks that follow the podcast, just give them a quick little shout out. Gail, Marv, Miranda, Corey, Tom Hay, Peter Mack, Brian Pake, Justin Eckler. This kid's nuts. The ones that we met, and nut in a good way. He's just collecting mini bike frames.
I know.
He's driving all night. He just showed me. He sends me these texts or messengers, I think they are, and there's 20 photos. He's buying. I don't know how he gets them all in his car.
He's a funny guy.
And he's got great.
Yeah, he sends me pictures.
Yeah.
And then he says, "Oh, I'm broke." The next day he sends me more pictures.
Well, I said, you know what? Look, I implore you. It's guys like him, the Corona Irvings, even my man Green Hornet. These are young guys that are just getting the fever now.
Oh yeah.
And I think they're smart enough now
It only takes one mini bike and you're hooked.
Well, Corona, to this day, he still reminds me. He said, because of you and that deal with Roadkill, that's how I got into mini bikes. It's like blaming on the Roadkill guys, not me. But he's another one. Jesus Christ, he went from, it was like a rabbit. You know, he went from one bike, and then the next week, it's like, I got this one, I got this one, I got this one. He probably has more than we have lying around here. So between him and Justin and Irving's a little more calculated. He's funny. He's like a silent assassin. He doesn't say too much, but when he does, he's kind of funny. I like seeing him and his girlfriend when they hang out. So a shout out to the Green Hornet. We talked about him earlier. Temecula Bob, thank you so much. Again, I enjoyed riding my bike. It rode good. We had a little bit of a brake adjustment that Jake handled. When I had my dream of that bike, Ed, it was to ride out in AV. And I felt great. It's a little bit of a different ride than Frankenstein. It's a little quicker, obviously, and it's a different sized frame bike, different sized wheel bike. So you've got all those changes. But I was test riding it here when I first got it, and I got to tell you, when you'd hit the gas, it's like, ooh, it's like, I mean, imagine what this thing's going to be wide open. Well, out there, I'm fucking wide open for minutes upon minutes.
Really?
It was great. It was great. And I was not, at first, I didn't know how fast the bike was. And I was actually trying to feel my oats riding around with these other guys. And off the start, when we first all took out, it was right out there. And I was just going like half throttle. When I finally got to ride out there and all these guys had kind of loosened up, it was going good, but there's most of the bikes were going by me. So it's got that crowd. It's got some fast bikes. Now, Jake went by me, and I originally told you during the show that I think Jake's Roper bike with that animal motor was the fastest bike out there, but now I have to go back and look at the video. You can see the video for yourself. There's 3 of us racing. Me, Jake, and another guy who's local, who ended up pulling away from me towards the end. I was actually backing out a little bit because it makes a big sweeping turn and there's traffic coming and I was afraid to get killed. He had been there obviously a few more times than me and didn't care if he died. I don't remember the dude's name, but he passes me on the video at the very end. But when Jake first took off, before he takes off, you could see him. It may have been Alfredo's bike. Got a built Predator on it. Thing's really quick. It's a GTS. I think it's one of those bubble frames. I can't remember if Jake was on his Roper or Alfredo's bike, but when it took off, it left us in the friggin' dust. I mean, it was fast. I don't know if it was the fastest bike, if it was the Roper or if it was Fredo's bike, but I don't know if there's anybody else out there with a faster bike. A little too fast even, I think, for me. But I want to go a little faster than I currently am going, and that engine keeps looking at me, Ed. The one behind the Briggs, the built Predator.
Built Predator.
Yeah, 16 horsepower. Maybe we'll have a chance to... Maybe we'll talk a little bit more about doing that.
Wait, I think Justin just sent me some pictures of another mini bike he bought.
Yeah, it's like, hey, look, dude, you're sending me more friggin' texts than my daughter. So
Sorry, Justin.
Shout out to Richard White, F&B Brothers, Hector Alvarado, Kevin Dock, Calvin Carisi, Shane Fuller, Brad DeMoisey, Ronnie Garman, Dave Isaac, Lamar Ingram, Jimmy Jensen. He's back. He was anxious to hear about you, Ed, hoping that you were doing well. He puts together that East Coast Mini Bikes Facebook page. Yeah. Shout out to Jimmy. Also, who's Vinny, right? Vinny from Miami or Florida. He's doing good. Yukio Tamura, Don Ward, Kevin Williams, Craig Hammock, Rodney Broughton, Gary Wyden, Brandon Wright, our buddy Rashen. J-Rock, we didn't see you out there. Rafa, we missed you as well out at the ride. We know you've got the GTS Hobby picnic coming up the end of the month. And maybe April 27th, 28th, 29th, somewhere around that window. To find out more, go to the GTS Facebook page. Reach out to either, I don't know, Rafa. A couple more: Adam Wolf, Alan Robinette, Doug Meal, Mike Lewis, Tyler Brooks, Neil Assasso, Pat Short, Alan Robinette, Justin Wilcox. There's too many. Thank you guys, all of you.
Tom, Cliff Judd.
Yeah, we talked about Cliff. Happy belated birthday. We got that in for
Mini Bike Paul.
and it's just one of those times, Ed. So I don't know. You're back. I'm glad to have you back, buddy.
Thanks.
Next podcast dates that we've got coming up looks like it's going to be the 25th of April, Ed, and then E and I are trying to sync up for May.
Well, I don't know. I'll have my retirement check by then.
Well, how much will it be? I'll triple it.
It's not that much.
Oh, great then. I won't triple
I
it.
get it. My first Social Security check, April 18th.
And what did I tell you to do with it?
Buy a mini bike.
Because you'll always remember what you did with the first check. In May, we're looking at maybe the 16th and maybe the 30th. I've been traveling a lot, with the new gig with MG. Check out mgretailer.com for those of you who may care to find out what I'm up to. I've been having some fun. I've been jumping into a new industry that's kind of...
Oh, I got to talk to you about something after the show.
I get a lot of that. Now. And that's it.
Not for me.
Yeah, okay.
I don't smoke. Just cigarettes.
So we're out there. We got things in motion. We've got the upcoming YouTube show. I am looking for some help. I'm looking for some help from all of the folks that follow us, all of the folks that we ride with and talk to. What would be a good name for the show? I love American Pickers in terms of, boy, if we can have a show that could show a little bit of that. I love their style. There's no acting. They're just guys out there doing their deal, right? I love American Chopper, that name. I hate the show because I didn't like those guys arguing. American Minibikes is just too easy, isn't it?
Yeah.
Plus, we've got bikes, particularly the power plants, where they're not American. But even if I say that, American pickers, they ain't picking just American products. American choppers, they're not just building American products. So, there's a case to be made that American Minibikes.
Gray Ghost Garage.
Well, if we had a garage, I think we got the Gray Ghost part of it figured out. That would be you, right? So we got a couple things going on there, don't we?
Gotta think about that.
We got your health. We got some upcoming shows planned. We got some dates coming up. Let's give away the small engine cam, and let's give it to Dane. Don't you think? Wanted to find out a little bit about Evil Ed, and kind of got to cover that. And I do think that there's a few folks out there that would like to always find out more about you. You're an intriguing guy. So congratulations, Dane. You've won the small engine cams autographed banner, as well as the real good part, the small engine cam. We've got the sprocket that is available for giveaway. And E, have you got any other questions in there that kind of pop up there? We'll take a look at giving that away. I'm hopeful that we could find another bike. I've got an itch. I need some help still, if we could, on wiring. I'm really close. I drained the tank head for the Indian.
Oh, okay.
Check it out. We're ready to go. I've got new valves. I've got 2 valves for this, Ed. And then there's a little bypass.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so maybe you can give me a hand with that. E, help me with the logo, the lettering. You could not find these decals. So we were able to take the original. In fact, I suggest this to you. If you can't find the original decal for anything, like I know that there's folks that make the repops for the Tecumseh 3 and 5, and you can get pop. But sometimes you can't. This was an example of a late 60s Indian papoose. Mm-hmm. And sure, you could find similar looking Indian typeface, but not close to the original. And this was because we took it from a brochure. E had a contact. You remember who those folks were, E? That made our decals for us. Remember we did it by mail?
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I'll find out. I'll find out for you. But we were able to take an advertisement from long ago and show them what we wanted, and they created it for us. So that was really nice. This is the original paint on that bike, and the rest of it's going to shine up just as nice, I think. So we're making some progress on the Indian papoose. You asked me why the carburetor was off.
Yeah, I can't remember why we pulled the car.
Well, I pulled it off, and I still can't remember. We've made some progress with the Clinton engine. This was a result of having a 410 series Clinton, which was the 4-horse with the aluminum piston. And that engine, Ed, is right behind you up on the workbench. Mm-hmm. I could not for the life of me find a friggin'. I tried. Who's the Clinton nut?
That's just some guy. I bought some Clinton parts off the guy.
So it's Clinton_nut. I've got his email address. I'll post it on my Facebook page. But if you need Clinton parts, he's the guy. Even he didn't have the aluminum piston.
Told me, yeah.
So what I did, Ed, I had this engine that was not quite complete on the rebuild. It was missing a flywheel, a carburetor, an intake. Well, I just took all those parts off of that.
The other one, yeah.
And here it is. So I'm close. I'm ready. I got to get a different pipe for it, but I think I'm going to slap that into the raw tone Friuli. That's lurking around here somewhere. So once those 2 bikes are done, all my shit's tight. All my stuff's running. And we'll get you up and running. Hopefully we'll get out to the next AV ride. Jake Moe, if you do want, because I asked Jake, I say, hey, look, man, a lot of people are hearing about this. A lot of people are. I put a post up that I was getting the itch because I was anxious to ride. People are like, where's the ride? Where do we meet? What time? And you felt like, shit, I don't want to say, because I really didn't want to have 50 people showing up. There was something nice about the fact that it's small.
It's small, yeah.
But I think Jake may want to open it up, and if he does, I'm going to let him let the cat out of the bag. So Jake, if you want to continue to keep being the heartbeat of when those events will happen and pretty much lead things up, you're doing a great job. So keep it going. We'll look forward to participating. Again, if you want to ride and your bike's ready, but you don't have the proper attire, particularly a helmet, and you don't have the means to, like if you're walking around with Air Jordans, you could be buying a friggin' helmet. If that's not the case and you could use a little help, we got it for you. We got helmets to give away. Those come compliments of Honda of Glendale. Once again, I want to give a shout out to all of our sponsors, particularly Pioneer. This podcast is brought to you by them, as well as folks from Go Kart USA, our friends at Small Engine Cams, GoPowersports.com. There's probably a few others. The folks from Studs have been big supporters of ours through my conversations with Kalman and going back and forth with Eric. Hopefully have those guys back on board and maybe go out there and spend some time with them. They're big. We got to get Evil Ed out here. We love Evil Ed. So, yeah, we'll give them a little treat. Get out there and to see those guys. Anything else out there, E, on your end? I know that you've been busy. You feeling good about the upcoming show? What do you think? We're going to need your help putting that together, buddy.
I know.
All right.
Everything's good.
I feel that way with him. I feel like you and I are just
He's
going
a
to...
good guy.
Well, we're going to be all over the place in terms of what we think it should do and what we should say, but I think he'll be able to give us a slap and shut us up and get 9 minutes out of us. So, E, thank you in advance for your help there. You're off to San Diego. What's happening in San Diego?
They're wearing this day at Petco Park. It's a baseball game.
Ah, who are they playing? You know?
Padres versus Giants.
Did you know, I think we're 2, 3, maybe 2 weeks into baseball season. The Padres got Eric Hosmer. He's the all-star first baseman from the Royals. I think he took him pretty close to the World Series one year. I think they may have won it all. Guy's a machine. I think he signed a late free agent deal for an enormous amount of money. I think he makes like $200,000 a pitch. He hit his first home run today.
Oh, really?
They thought he'd have like 20 of them by now. There was a brawl tonight with the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Red Sox killed us last night. And then the Yankees came back. They were up big. And there's a nice fisticuffs. I'm anxious to see what's happening there. But, yeah, it's that time of the year. It's springtime. It's time for you guys to get those mini bikes ready. Get them out and running. It's fun. It is really still a blast. As I approach my 60s, Ed, I felt like I was friggin' 16 out there. That's why I want you to be a part of it. I've got myself in motion. I'm encouraging you all to do the same. I saw some coupons out there for $99 Predator engines again. So they're out there. The frames are out there. The parts are out there. If you're in Detroit, stop by Studs. If you're here, stop by Small Engine Cams. Anything else, Ed, before we call it a night here on somewhat of a comical evening? Unfortunately, our
guest didn't make it.
Home Alone, you were just so close, brother. We had a couple little issues earlier with our connectivity with our cable carrier, and we also had just a little bit of a hiccup earlier with Facebook. Thanks for hanging in there with us, folks. I'm not sure if we have... I want to give away that Go Power Sports. Vinny from Florida had a question specific to some colors for a particular brand. My phone died. I can't remember, but I think we're going to award Vinny from South Florida, and I'll do some homework for you, brother. I'll go online and I'll get that color information you asked about, that specific year and model. We're going to go ahead and we're going to award you the gift certificate to pick up that sprocket from GoPowersports.com. Vinny's always posting and buying and selling. I see him going back and forth with my man Ian from CB Minis, who's always buying and selling something. Between him, Justin, and the two other guys that we mentioned, they're all buying everything up. So, hey, guys.
They got it. They got the fever.
Well, that's the other thing, too, right, Ed? These engines, like the Predators, they're going to be there forever. They're going to be there. You don't have to worry about running out and buying some friggin' Predator. However, if you do find a Briggs, if you do find a Tecumseh, if you do find one of these two-strokes, the West Bends, you know, the McCulloughs, those engines aren't really going to be around as often as they are now.
It's hard to get parts for my engine with power products.
Yeah.
Good.
So it's not just the engines, guys, but if you see something out there, I don't tell you what to do with your money, but we've seen a lot of guys make some decent money. I'm always got my eye out. I always got a little bit of extra cash for a decent bike or a decent engine, but yeah, the collectability of these bikes is there. The parts are there, not to mention all the fun factors. So do it. I have a good time. It's all about mini bikes. That's what the podcast is all about. Thanks, everybody, for listening, Ed.
Bye.
Joe's Minibike Reunion podcast. See you next time, everybody.